I lived here in Miami. When I graduated from university, I moved back and I got a job at a PR firm. And then I moved to Los Angeles and worked for really big, well-established agencies, corporate agencies, worldwide agencies, and I learned so much. I had a lot of really great mentors. And when I moved back to Miami 6 years after being in LA, I decided that I wanted to launch my own shop. And it's funny. It was like a seedling that was growing already. Because I would say before I launched my business, I would say like the 2 to 3 years preceding that, I wanted to do that. I knew I wanted to do that. It was just a matter of timing. And the timing sort of, it wasn't, it came to fruition when I moved back. I got a job. I was working as a director of public relations at a prominent real estate brokerage. And during the market downturn, I saw that my days at the firm were limited. And when I got called to the office, which I knew what that meeting was about, and they said, listen, we just can't afford to keep you on full time. I turned the tables around knowing that that was coming, and knowing too that my boss was a big proponent of marketing and PR. He was like an avid proponent of it. So I said, listen, I get it, but you know how valuable PR and marketing is, and I don't think you want to just not have it. How about we still work together, but on a contractual basis? And he was like, that sounds like a great idea. Let's do it. So instead of getting laid off, I left with my first client. And then like the next week I went and launched my own firm.
That's awesome.
So it was really great. And it was a little nerve-wracking, but I was surrounded by that. And I think this is true. They say like birds of the same feather flock together. I was surrounding myself at that time subconsciously. It wasn't even like I was doing it on purpose, with other entrepreneurs. And so like it was quite uplifting, and it made me feel like I could do it too, because I had like friends and other people around me that were like starting their own business and doing this and doing that, and I thought I can do this too. So it was very encouraging to be in that environment. I also see this a lot too, and I believe this. It's like that, and there's a quote, it's about necessity breeds innovation, something like this. And I really believe that like at that time, the market was changing. This is 2008 is when I launched my business. So, we were entering a serious recession, or the recession already had begun. And before I had I had that conversation with my boss, I started looking to see what else was out there, and it was bleak. And I thought, well, if there's not opportunity, I have to create my own opportunity. And I think that happens a lot in the entrepreneurial space. Yes, there's passion. Yes, there's these other things, but sometimes it's a matter of necessity. When I launched in 2008, it was an interesting time to launch a business, and especially being that I was working in real estate marketing. That was like the ground zero for the crash. But it made me pick up skills and become resilient. Also made me a little bit more flexible with my mindset, more agile, more open-minded, willing to take on things. I think it created an attitude, an element of survival that I, throughout the now 9 years in having my own business, I've had to sometimes go back to that space, that mindset, and it's what's helped me survive some of the harder times. Yeah. I was told, and this was a great piece of advice that was given to me, before you start your own business, make sure you have an emergency fund. More than anything, it gives you kind of peace of mind, So I did have an emergency fund. It wasn't a lot, but it would get me through at least 3 months. So I pared down on a lot of expenses. My rent was very low. And I would encourage anyone who's considering going the route of switching gears to sit down, do your budget, and analyze where you can cut. And it also puts you in a frame of mind of being really, really present and aware and understanding what you need to start making profit. I launched my firm with one other thing besides the emergency fund, which is important. I had contacts. And I had a good brand. So that's another really important thing. You have to make sure you have a good brand. And what is that good brand? How do you develop your brand? It's relationships. So while I was working as director of PR for this real estate company, I was in contact with a lot of realtors. They had 300 realtors. I was in contact with different businesses that we would do collaborative co-promotions with. I had a very good reputation with all of those people because they trusted me. They saw that I worked very hard. They saw that I was reliable. Those qualities that people want when they want to hire you. And so when I went out on my own, I sent a blast email saying I was going out on my own, and that reaped so much positive because I sent this out, and 2 former colleagues were like, "Oh, I've got someone you need to meet. Let me introduce you." And I ended up landing, like, within the first month of me being a solopreneur, I ended up landing 2 additional clients in addition to the brokerage. So I think that that's a really important aspect too. Make sure you've got a solid brand and that people trust you, that you've got good relationships, because if you have that, when you launch your own business, it'll come to you. You don't want to get to a place where you lose touch with yourself, which I think can happen. It happens a lot here in business, and that's why people end up getting sick. They work themselves to the ground. You lose touch with what's what's inside. And so that happened to me. I was working. I was seeing growth. I was getting very excited and almost blinded by it and not staying connected with myself. And I got to a place where I was just out of touch. Like I was working and I wasn't even really happy. And so I decided that to me wasn't success. To me, success is I have a lifestyle that I want to maintain, and I want to have my vacations. I want to have my community involvement. I want to have my time with my friends. And yes, I want to do good work and continue doing good work and growing professionally, but it's not, Miami domination in the PR sphere, so, and I'm so glad I know that now, because I actually turn away business now, and I say that's not a scenario that I want to be a part of. And it's good to know, having that clarity is great. So I would just say check in with yourself regularly to see are you happy with what you're doing right now. Just because it might have been something you thought when you first launched that's where you want to go. Maybe you're there now and you realize it's actually not what you wanted. So I think to continuously check in with yourself. I currently have an intern that I promoted. She is fantastic. And I've been with her almost a year, and she is incredible. And I think a piece of advice for somebody looking for junior talent, it doesn't really matter what school they went to. I mean, I think that's not as important as their level of curiosity, their appetite, their motivation, initiative. These other qualities are much, much more valuable than whether they went to, Tufts or whatever, our Ivy League school. So I definitely would recommend that.
So I'm about to graduate. I think I'm going to stay on the track of public relations, but with professional services. Something that I noticed immediately about Frances was the fact that she genuinely wants me to learn. And that's something that has triggered an interest in me that hopefully one day I can pay it forward and I can go back to Nicaragua, which is where my family is from, and empower the women there